Whatever kind of farmer you are becoming, you'll get some valuable perspective from Connie Hunter Baptiste on this episode of Food, Flowers, and Fun. If you're the woman who does it all, farm work, housework, bookwork, homework, getting up at the break of dawn, this is the podcast for you.
How do you multiply by fractions now?
Get away from the cares of the day. Restock, rootstock, feedstock, seedstock. Chat with women around the world who raise food, flowers, and fun. With your host, Kay Castrataro. That's me. Welcome back to Food, Flowers, and Fun. I am your host, Kay Castrataro. And as always, we are sponsored by Penlight for Farmers, helping you to create purposeful farm lives rich in time, energy, and abundance. And boy, am I excited about today's guest. I have Dr. Connie Hunter Baptiste with me. She is from Hunter Family Farm Enterprise. This woman is amazing. You're going to love her. I love her, and I'm just not going to keep us from her anymore. Connie, welcome. How are you today?
Thank you. Amazing. Really, really amazing. I'm true to form. I get up at 6, and I know it's my farming life and my military discipline that my grandfather has always said you can't burn daylight. So as soon as I see it, my eyes pop open and we are ready for the day.
Oh, good. Well, we're gonna have some fun today. I'm so excited. So you actually introduced a couple of things that we're hopefully going to talk about. So not only are you a farmer, you are a veteran. You have an amazing backstory. And so why don't you just tell us about your history in farming and what brought you to where you are now?
So starting from the beginning, I am literally born of the soil. I was born at home in a two-room sharecropper's cabin.
Oh,
So agriculture has been a part of everything. It is my DNA. And just like a lot of other small town citizens, as soon as we can leave, we are out of there. And I joined the family business. I went into the military. The only calling was the Air Force. Nothing against the other branches, but I am so frou-frou and so bougie to be a farm girl. Went in and literally did 20 years. Good time, meeting great people. Just it was who I was then.
so I'm going to interrupt because this is what I do. But you're describing yourself as frou-frou and bougie, and love those terms. And yet, it's pretty strange for somebody who's frou-frou and bougie to end up in both the military and farming. So how did that work in the military? Because I myself have never been in the military, but I have family members who have been, and I follow an amazing Air Force veteran as well, a pilot on LinkedIn. And so like I watch how you're not really supposed to be too frou-frou, and you're kind of, there's a standard of what you're supposed to wear and how you can wear them. And,
Yes.
so how did that work for you adapting into
Uh,
that culture?
it shows literally what adaptability means.
Mm,
When I need to put on the boots and the work uniform to be out in the elements, I do that. But we stay in hotels. We don't sleep in the woods. We have a dining facility. We don't have a chow hall. Um,
mm.
so in the military, I was a cable installer.
Oh my goodness.
Um, Affectionately referred to as a cable dog. It is climbing telephone poles 20 to 40 feet, working in manholes, digging, which again was all the rough and tough of being a farm girl.
Yeah.
You pulling weeds over hundreds of acres and plowing and digging and um, handling animals. All of that is that. But when I'm done with that, my hair is a certain way, my uniforms are a certain way.
Mm.
The standards go back up. So if you talk to anybody about the Air Force, they say we're not the real military, that we sit behind the desk and we're okay with it.
Okay. We are not second class citizens. We're
We
smarter
set the
than your
standards.
average bear because we can figure out how to be comfortable doing our
Yes,
jobs.
yes, yes, yes. And farming now, I'm that. I did a series with what a veteran looks like now, and
Mm.
my overalls were monogrammed and they were starched true to form, with the wide cuff. And they were like, "Really, Connie?" And I said, "Well, it's the standard. If I need to get dirty, I can get dirty, but there's no reason why I can't be cute while I'm doing it all."
Oh, oh, I love that. Okay, ladies out there, all of our lady farmers who are listening and inspiring farmers, just because you're working hard doesn't mean you can't be cute. And I am not the poster child for that. Like I'm not cute. Cute has never been anything that anyone has ever accused me of. Like I am definitely the one. My sister and I actually are funny. My sister's 2.5 years younger than I am. And we would go out and do the exact same work every single day. Now, she always went out, her hair was perfect. Mine looked kind of like this because a French braid keeps it out of my eyes. And I'm like, it's done. It doesn't matter if it's good, bad, or ugly. It's out of my face. She had the makeup on, the hair perfect. She would work all day, just as hard or harder than I did. Okay. At the end of the day, she would still look amazing. I was like covered in dirt and the sweat's running down my face and the clothes look like they've been like stepped on by a herd of cattle. And we just stand there looking at each other and be like, I don't know how she does it. Like, but she has that cuteness factor where she just I don't know. It's like I'm Pigpen and she's like the girl with the curls. Like I don't know how it works. But just to say, you don't have to be one type of woman to be
You
in
don't.
agriculture or
You
in the
don't.
military.
You don't. You don't.
Yeah.
And that's something that now that I've retired and become an advocate, I'm always saying that to women veteran, go back and find you and what that looks like and what that
Mm,
feels like. You know, when
yeah.
they see me, it's the bling headband. I've got on something bling. My shoes are bling. I'm in camo, but it's not the average camo. So it's saying, be you. Whatever that looks like, be you.
Yeah, and I think I heard you use the phrase rediscover who you are or and
Yes,
so talk to us a little bit about that because I think when we first met the parallels between the military and the agricultural community are so strong and you don't necessarily think about it at first because it looks surfacey, it can look very different. Like the military, you've always got somebody
yes,
telling what to do. As a farmer, theoretically, you're self-employed and you make your own choices. The military, you've always got the dress standards. In
yes.
farming, not so much. Like you can do it in a tank top and shorts, you can do overalls, like however you want to do it is your thing. And yet, there are a lot of cultural
A
expectations
lot.
for what is appropriate and not appropriate. And I think for people, especially those of us raised in the farming culture, there is an expectation of how we farm, how
Yeah.
we present ourselves as women,
Yes.
especially in agriculture. So, talk to me a little bit about what that's like to rediscover you as both a veteran and a farmer and kind of a cutting edge farmer because you come from a long line of sharecroppers, but you're also the first in your family to own your own farmland. So,
Yes.
so much going on.
It is, and there's a word in the military that they throw out all the time, especially when you're close to leaving, and that's transition.
Mm,
And the word transition tends to have almost a negative connotation because you are, again, leaving a world where they have told you what to do
mm,
for sometimes 4 years, sometimes 30 years.
yeah.
So you are embracing that anxiety of that word transition. But when I talk to people on embarking on their next journey in life, I don't say transition as much. I say becoming,
Love
because
that.
you are now becoming the next best you,
Mm,
whatever that looks like. So it's for us a rediscovering
mm,
because, again, you didn't have to decide what you needed to wear.
yeah.
You reached in the closet, it was either going to be for us, it was blue or green,
Yep.
unless there was something formal and you had an outfit for that. So there was no thought process put into that.
Yeah.
So now we've got to rediscover, do I like jeans? Do they make me look frumpy? Do I like the barrel jeans because they are free and not constraining? Do I like blue? Do I like green? Do I like red? Do
Mm,
I want to be a morning person? Whatever that looks like, but it's trial and error. And even with that, it brings some mental wellness challenges.
yeah.
So to be able to give people permission to be you,
Yeah.
to find out what you are. It's not making the mistakes, it is just trial and error, becoming the next best you.
Oh, I love that. And love that, like, it's not making the mistakes because I do think, I mean, I think in the military and in agriculture, there is this like fear of making mistakes
Yes,
because, I mean, let's face it, somebody or something can die when we make mistakes. Like
yes,
in the military, it's the people beside you, it's a civilian
yeah,
that's not supposed to be, or it's even an enemy combatant. And whenever
yes.
somebody dies, that's a tragedy.
It
So
is.
that like there is a mindset that drives that. And in agriculture, it's your crops, it's your livestock, and it could very well be a family member. Like you make a poor
Yes,
decision with an untrained animal, and somebody can die. I mean,
yes.
when I was a child, I was just going into high school, and we moved into a dairying community, and one of my sister's classmates ended up getting killed. No, so younger than me, a middle schooler, ended up getting killed in a tractor accident. He was driving oh my gosh, it's like I'm gonna cry. He was driving his tractor and dropped a container of Skittles, and he reached down to pick up the Skittles and accidentally
Oh, no.
pulled the wheel into, like, if you live have ever lived in rural New York, they've got these huge ditches on the side of the road to handle all the snow in the winter, and just went in there and flipped it over on himself. And like
Yes,
that much inattention in a person, and it is literally life or death. So on the one hand, we're taught not to make mistakes.
yes,
Mistakes are bad. And
yes,
yet, that's the only way we really can become who we're supposed to be, is by
yeah,
trying things out and be like, "Oh, that's not fitting me. That's like a jacket that's too tight, or a
yes.
jacket that's too big." And so how do you help people to embrace healthy mistakes?
For me, it is literally being transparent. When I bought the land, it was etched in stone. I have 52 acres, so 25 of them was going to be dedicated to putting in vineyard.
Ooh.
All of the vines to be able to offer the grapes to the North Georgia vineyards so that they don't have to go outside of the state to buy the juice.
Mm.
And I was going to get my tractors and build all of these things. And then I realized I more broke down from my military service than I realized.
Oh, yeah.
And that those physical things I can no longer do, and nor do I want to do them. So
Hmm.
here was the pivot, but first I had to give myself permission to pivot because it was, again, I'm in South Georgia, in the area where big ag is,
Mm.
and everybody row crops.
Yep.
And I am saying that is not my thing. I don't want the dust in my home. I don't want to deal with that. If I'm going to plant anything, it is going to be no-till. So that
Mm.
means I'm different.
Yeah. And you're a
And
woman and you're
and
black
a black
and
woman,
they're in the South. And, just to be totally out there, like there's something happening there. Like you want to talk about courage. Like it takes so much courage to do that and to take the courage to say, I have some weaknesses now that I didn't have before. And we all have weaknesses because we are human. So some of us may not have the strategic thinking. Some of us may not have the physical strength. Some of us may not have the people skills. Like there are all kinds of things that we don't
yes,
have that we have to figure out how do we not blame ourselves for those weaknesses, but
yes,
capitalize on our strengths.
yes,
So you like kudos to you for being able to say, all right, you know what? I used to be a cable dog. That meant you were strong, you were tough.
yes.
Like you could do all of that. And now you're like, and that beat my body up as farming. How many farmers out there are hearing that now? And they're like, oh yeah, that kneeling to plant things that I used to do when I was 20, all of a sudden at 50, I'm like, I don't think I want to do that anymore. And you say, man, I wish I'd taken better care of my joints when I was younger, maybe not jumped off of so many hay wagons.
Yes, yes, yes,
But
yes.
what do you do? Do you quit? So you said, all right, the vineyards aren't going to work for me. I have a completely different approach to agriculture than everybody around me. I'm kind of unique in about three major characteristics, just as being a person, like my personal characteristics that don't fit in with the crowd. So what did you end up deciding to do and how's that look now?
It's, uh, I gave myself permission to pivot,
Mm.
whatever that looks like. So now I've decided that 30 of the acres will be in longleaf pines.
Oh,
So I'm big on climate change and leaving it better than I found it and taking care of it. Um, and I need something in my legacy Rolodex to leave, whether
mhm.
it's my both of my sons are one is 38 and the other one is 42, and my grandson is 18. Um, and even with that, they may not want to farm the way I want to farm.
Mm,
But putting in the longleaf pines has a legacy of its own.
yeah.
It will change the atmosphere around me, cleaning the carbon, giving the oxygen, just being beautiful to look at.
And
Um,
mitigating the heat, like George, like having all those trees is also like when you're talking about changing the climate, like you're actually kind of creating a microclimate there, I would imagine. So,
yes,
so interesting about what might be possible there.
yes. Because
Yeah.
today it's going to be 97 and it'll feel like anywhere from 104 to 107. It's not even July in Georgia.
Yeah, what is with the weather is insane. We're going to be hitting close to 100 this week too, and that's usually like July, August. That's not
Yes,
usually end of
yes,
June,
yes.
beginning of July weather. Yeah, right.
So doing that and going to the Longleaf Academy and talking to them about that, and then coming back and talking to the farmers about it here and there. My neighbors do have longleaf pines,
Yeah,
but again, they have owned their land forever.
yeah.
So I've owned it for 4 years and I've only been here for a year. So I had to stop comparing because I was like, oh, the other farmers are doing this and the other farmers have that. And then I was like, your only competition is you, Connie.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, it brings up that whole like comparison is the thief of joy idea, where if we're
Yes.
constantly looking at, I said this to my kids the other day because they were griping about, things that they didn't have, and I finally looked at them and I said, you got to stop this, because if you focus on the things you don't have, you're always going to be miserable, because there are always going to be people who have things that you don't have. They're going to have more money. They're going to have more possessions. They're going to have more vacation time. They're going to have more children. They're going to have bigger houses. They're going to, like, the amount of things that other people have that we don't, that more land, more, whatever. I'm like,
Yeah.
so that is a recipe for disaster. You're going to spend your whole life feeling miserable and jealous. And I'm like, you got to change that. You got to start looking at, what do I have? Because when you start looking, you know what? I've got a house. I've got a house. I'm protected.
Yes.
The rain can fall down. I can enjoy the sound of it without worrying,
Yes.
where is it coming in my house? Like all those kinds of things, that when you start looking at what you have and what you've accomplished, not what you haven't accomplished, but what you have accomplished.
Yes.
Like, all right, you've only been there a year. You built a house, you bought the land, you've transitioned from a career that you were very successful at. Like, those are all really enormous things that mindset shift is gorgeous. I love it.
Yeah, and it has to be intentional. And
Yeah.
when I talk to other women veteran, I don't hide all of the mistakes I've made. The things that I tried that didn't work, and I said, okay, not spending any more money on that. What can you do with what you have? What is your skill set?
Mm,
Um, I'm a chef, so I intentionally built my house to be able to do farm stays
yep.
and CEO resets and moo parties and really concentrating on the woman farmer and the
Yep.
woman CEO and the woman entrepreneur. We've
Yeah.
got to build a safe space for people to come in and say, I bombed that. And when they come in the house, that's one of the things that I say when we start our reset weekend. We listen and we don't judge.
Right.
This is a safe space. You can say whatever you want to say.
Yep.
If you need help, ask for it. If not, we're not volunteering any words of wisdom. It is eat
Mm,
like you want, sit on the porch and reset, stay in the bed and binge watch TV.
yep.
But it's all about finding you in your thoughts.
Yeah. Oh, and that learning to listen to ourselves, learning to listen to our what our bodies are telling us, learning to listen what the thoughts underneath the thoughts are telling
Yes,
us, and to just be comfortable with ourselves at our messiest. I think that's
yes,
such an important thing, because we have this idea that we need to save ourselves from mistakes. We need to save ourselves from failure. We do it with our kids. Like, we want to set our kids up so that they don't fail. And
yes.
that's in some ways the worst thing we can do for any
It
of us.
is.
Like, it's the failure. It's the looking at something and saying, well, boy, that's not how I intended that to go at
Yes,
all. That's where you do the learning. That's where you do the
yes,
growing, and that's where you get a new perspective that brings you
yes.
into, like you were saying, your next best version of you. Like, you can really become a person you never thought you were going to be, in the best
Right,
possible way.
right. Um, when I taught culinary arts, I would always tell my students that if you're here for a reason.
Yes.
And there is knowledge in your DNA
Mm,
that's specific to culinary arts. And if you just take the time to become, those things will show up. And I
mm.
talk to my brothers and sisters about farming now, and I'll say, oh, do this and look at that and go over here and make sure you put this here. And they'll like, how did you know that? And I said, we are the byproducts of farmers. If
Yeah.
you go back, you don't even have to go back to our grandfather. And there's knowledge that he shared through his bloodline with us.
Yes.
If you listen, it will speak, but you've got to take the time to
Yeah.
speak to it and listen to it.
Yeah. So that whole idea of the knowledge in the DNA, it's something that I say to people, but hearing you frame it the way that you just did, is really like my brain is exploding right now because I am thinking of all of the things that I have often said, well, I'm just not gifted in that way or I don't have that knowledge. And then I'm letting my DNA talk while you're saying that and the DNA is saying you've got more there than you think, girl. Like and it's not because I had to learn it. It's because other people behind me learned it and not that we get every single skill that everybody in our history had. Oh, wouldn't that be lovely if we could do that? but,
Celebration.
but like I inherited my great grandfather's love for good horse flesh. He loved good horses. Now, it seems like there's only one of us in every generation or two in my family who actually likes horses. The rest of them used them on the farm because they had to. But my great great grandfather loved having nice horses. I love horses, nice or not. They're like my thing. My niece loves horses. So it's like there is that DNA trail that you can just watch and it
Yes.
and it shows up and I think that's really interesting to just take the time to kind of get out of our heads and just
Yes.
let our inherited experience speak
Yeah.
sometimes.
And that's the key to, I
Mm,
always talk about farming right now is having an identity crisis.
yeah,
And
talk to me
people
about that.
say, well, what does that mean? Farming no longer looks like farming of old.
At least not of the
Technology,
50s and 60s.
no. And it's every generation that happens, but it seems that this generation is holding on to tradition so tightly that
Hmm.
they're losing the ability to keep farming going.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, this is one of my big soapboxes. In fact, I had somebody
Yeah,
just text me yesterday and thank me for how on this podcast we really try to elevate all types of agriculture and that we're trying to say however you're doing it is legitimate
however,
farming,
yes,
even if it doesn't look like your neighbors, even if it's,
yes,
you know, I know somebody who shall remain nameless, but I know somebody who kind of looked down on their own style of farming. They were planting mums. And I was like, you could probably make money on YouTube showing people how to do all of the things that you do because there are a lot of beginning farmers who want to learn exactly the skills that you have. And he looked at me and he's like, well, I'm not going to teach anybody to do it this way. This is a backwards way of doing it because they're like planting by hand and they're doing. And I looked at him and I'm like, you grow the nicest mums in the state. They're healthy, they're hardy, they can get knocked over in the wind and still not be broken, which if you've ever grown mums, that's a
girl,
pretty impressive thing. And
yes.
I'm like, and they're beautiful. So why is it that you think your approach is so bad? I'm like, it's a small scale operation. Of course it's going to be small scale. You're not going to spend, if you're smart, you're not going to spend $100,000 on some pricey equipment when with a few sets of hands in a week or two you can plant all these mums and have gorgeous product at a great price. Like, but
Yes.
he wouldn't even own his own expertise and value his own way of farming because he was comparing it to some nebulous, like, this is the right way to do it.
Yeah, yeah. And it is because it's been preached so long
Yep.
that you got to do it this way or it's not legit.
Yeah.
And that is not the case. And it also speaks to the mental wellness.
Yeah,
of
let's talk about
that.
that. That's one of my babies. So let's talk about the mental wellness crisis in agriculture and how we can shift that from a crisis to an opportunity, because I think we do have an opportunity to really
Yes,
make a huge difference in agricultural
yes,
mental health
yes,
in our
yes.
generation in particular.
We do, from the identity crisis to
Mm,
giving people permission to do it their way, whatever that looks like.
yep.
We honor the traditions of the past, but we embrace what the world is sharing with us now, whether
Mm.
it's AI or it's smaller markets or adaptability. I have a good friend that works for UGA, and he's in the Farm Again organization, and
Mhm.
it is helping people who have had physical disabilities or accident continue doing what they love.
Ah,
Um, so in doing that, it has got to be a paradigm shift.
yes.
And to do the paradigm shift, we've got to speak to mental wellness,
Yes.
which is the key to everything.
I agree. I agree because if you have mental resiliency, if you can look at a situation and you can find the opportunity instead of the catastrophe, if you can do that, you will move forward no matter what you face,
No
because
matter what.
because it will never be so much that it will destroy you. Instead, it will be, okay, this sucks, because let's face it, there are lots of things in life that suck. So we say, all right, this is not the situation I wanted. Really would have preferred not to be here. And now I'm here. So I can look at the past and say, well, I wish I were before this point, or I wish this hadn't happened. Well, that's not going to change anything. You
Nothing.
can't blame yourself because it really doesn't matter. Like, however you got there, you're there now.
You're
So
there.
now what do you do with it? And are you going to use that to make you, I just love that phrase, the better, newer version of yourself, or are you going
Yes.
to make it a worse version of yourself? And so I think that disability is really resonating with me, especially for women, because, and don't get me wrong when I say this, but I have a farmer that I'm working with, and she was talking about what it would be like to start a farm and then start a family at the same time and have children. And, there was this feeling that that was overwhelming. And I said, well, it's, first of all, having a child will change your life no matter what. You are never prepared for it. I mean,
Mhm.
be
No
as
matter what.
prepared as you can be, like, make all the good steps moving up to it. But those kids they're gonna smack you upside the face. They're gonna shock you into oblivion, and you're gonna be like, I didn't sign up for this. Nope, you didn't. And that's motherhood. Like, that's just the way it is.
In a
But I was
nutshell.
like, women have been farming and pregnant and having babies for generations and generations. And I
Yes.
said, and you know what? We're a little smarter about it now. So
Yes.
if you're an herb grower and you're pregnant, don't be growing your herbs in the ground. Put them up on a bench in trays,
Yes.
because you know what? You can grow herbs just as well on a bench as you
Yes.
can in 6 inches of ground dirt. And so then you're
Yes.
not bending over, you're not dealing with, yeah. I had a farmer, a flower farmer, in fact, she was my first guest, my very first flower farmer guest. Um, she ended up switching the crops that she grew because she was having health issues and she was having all kinds of acid reflux. And so she ended up switching to sunflowers because she could harvest them standing up. Simple little shift. It went from I'm not sure I can continue growing flowers to I can grow a different type of flower.
Yes.
Like, amazing, amazing how by not being stuck in the this is the right way to do it, we can make a change.
It is that and the stress of that. Women have layered stress that we talk about.
Yeah.
The pressures to harvest as much as men harvest and plan as much as they do and do what they do and have the children and raise the children and cook the meals and take care of your husband and your family. So
Mhm.
those layered stresses are incredibly debilitating because
Yes.
the body remembers. There have been times that I've come in and taken off my clothes, and I'm like, where did that bruise come from?
You don't
Where
even
did
notice
that
it when you're
knot come
doing it.
from?
Yep. Don't even notice it.
Because you are so set in your head that I've got to produce
Oh,
what they produce. And I've got to do what they do, how they do it. And it's not feasible because the steps on the tractor are higher. So it takes more arm strength to get up because you're literally pulling yourself up into it or
hmm.
lifting something as heavy. My toolbox, when I was in communications as a cable dog, weighed almost 80 pounds.
Oh my word.
So I would have to hold it on my thigh to carry it with both hands to wherever I was going to work.
Yep.
And I would hear them behind me say, "Don't help her. She wanted to do this. So let her struggle with it." And I get
You
it,
had to
come
be more
back.
man than the men. Like that's,
Yes,
you
yes,
know, in these cultures, it's almost like you have, but you can't lose your femininity because
yes,
if you're not a woman, then they look down at you for not being feminine enough, but you got
yes,
to be man enough to do the man's job.
yes,
This is what I find in farming to be so interesting growing up multi-generationally. And hopefully there are farm families that are shifting this a bit, but in my very traditional farm family, I always thought we were egalitarian because the women were not only expected, but I mean, it was just assumed that the women were going to be out there. We were going to be carrying irrigation pipes on our shoulder, two, one on each pipe, on each shoulder. Like we're going to be hoeing weeds the same length, the same as the men. In addition, we'd have to keep our eyes on the sun, and when it was getting close to mealtime we'd have to drop the work we're doing, go into
yes,
the house, make
yes,
the lunch, bring it out under the tree where all the guys could eat in the shade, scarf down some food, clear the table, wash all the dishes, put the food away, and
and
then
go
go
back
back out in
out.
the field and do all the stuff that
Yes,
the men was doing. And somehow I thought that was egalitarian, and now I'm looking at it, I'm like, we were way tougher than the men. my great
yes,
my great grandmother always said that she would never learn to milk the cows because she said that'll just be one more thing for Effie to do. And so she refused to milk cows. She used to have to go out because they wouldn't fix the fence. Instead of fixing the fence, my great grandmother used to go out and spend all day keeping the cattle in the area that they were supposed to go. And she'd bring like the snap peas and the beans, and she'd bring a big bunch with them, and she'd snap beans out there for
multi,
for dinner while she was sitting there watching the silly cattle. And it's like, really, we couldn't put up a fence. Grandma's time was so like treated so callously that
yeah,
she's gonna sit out there and babysit the cows all day.
right.
But that's why
And
she
once
wouldn't milk. She's
again,
like, Effie will not milk the cows.
it is the identity crisis because there is that old mindset.
Yeah.
And the women in agriculture today are not a part of it. They're not buying into it.
Nope.
So until the traditional farms shift, they will be lost because the children are not coming back because I went to a school and did a career day and talked about being a farmer. And they were like, "Oh, you're a farmer? Oh, that's hard work. Nobody does that. I don't even want to do that." And I said, we need drone pilots. We need
Mhm.
biologists. We need scientists. We need accountants. We need chefs. We need all of these things that are not traditional.
Yeah.
I say, I'm cute. I don't get dirty. If I get on a tractor, it is very strategically done because I'm not coming back looking like I plowed all day. And they thought after a few minutes, they were like, well, tell us more about that. You mean we can still work on the farm and not do that? So it was an interesting conversation, but I knew that just that one conversation was shifting the paradigm of tomorrow's farmers.
Yeah.
But now it's to get yesterday's farmers to understand and accept.
Today's farmers as legitimate.
I spoke at a conference
Mm.
And one of the gentlemen in attendance, he was like, "What is wrong with the kids nowadays? They just are so disrespectful and they're doing these things and the way they dress." And I said, "Isn't that what our parents said about us?" And he
You do
stopped.
remember the Elvis generation, right?
Right. I said, "It's changing and shifting your mindset
Yeah.
to allow them to experience life, but understand that what we taught them, they don't forget,
Right.
and it comes back, i.e., I'm a returning farmer."
Yeah, and majoring in the minors sometimes. Like, I think about it a lot with my kids. I do a lot wrong as a parent. So this is not to say, oh, I'm, super parent or anything. But one thing that I have done right with my kids is that there are a lot of things that I saw my mom and like my sister fight about clothing. Clothing was a big thing. My sister had a very strong sense of style from the womb. She just did. And it was not my mom's sense of style. And so the whole time I was growing up, they fought about how her hair was going to be, what clothes she was going to wear, whether to get her ears pierced, like the whole 9 yards. It was just like squabble, squabble, squabble over those things. And my sister and I are now best friends. And so when I had my daughter, I was like, well, I'm not going to do that because that's just like there are enough things that I have to fight with them about. I'm not going to fight about
Yes,
their clothes. And
pick your
so we
battle.
made like a few very basic rules. Like you go to church, you wear a skirt. You wear a collared shirt, like for my son. Like those are my rules. You want to wear shorts, I will let you wear shorts. You wear a collared shirt just because we're going to show respect. That's
Hmm.
something basic. And how you do so my daughter would wear like jeans with a skirt over the top with she would take these shirts and she'd cut them because I swear she's going to be a fashion designer. She'd cut up her clothes and there were times she would come out for church and I would look at her and I would be like, oh, I'm not sure about that, but I would go back to, are you wearing a skirt? Technically, yes.
Yes,
Are you clothed and decent? Technically, yes. Is that how I want you to leave the house? Definitely not. But am I going to fight with you about this?
right.
No, because it's not important in the grand scheme of
No,
things. Her clothing is not the important thing about her. And so there are times still where she'll leave the house at 12 and I'll be like, that's not what I would have preferred. But it's her style. And I'm like, go ahead and try it out. It's
yes,
like you said about making the mistakes. Like who is it gonna hurt? She wears her
thank you.
brother's hand-me-downs. I'm like, oh, wear your brother's hand-me-downs if you want. I don't care. Like, it's not worth making a fight over. And I think for
It's
farmers,
not.
we have way too many things we fight over that are the equivalent of the
That's
style
it.
of shirt that people are wearing. It's like okay, so you're choosing to be sustainable versus conventional. Why is that a bad thing? Like we need all types of agriculture.
We
Oh,
do.
you're going back to, native grazing strategies. Well, it worked for the Great Plains until we went and plowed it up. So maybe we should learn from that. I don't know. Like, and we've got small farms. We've got people making farming living off of a half acre. They
Yes,
you would think that that is impossible, but they do it. So let's encourage them. Or they're part-time farmers who have another career. Let them have their career. Like they're providing food, they're providing beauty, they're doing
yes,
agritourism and having people
yes,
experiencing the farm. Let them do it. They have a bed and breakfast. Let them do it.
yes. It is, again, in order to continue agriculture, we've got to address that identity crisis, and it is
Yeah.
by allowing people to do. Um,
Love it.
this year
Love it,
is
Connie.
the International Year of the Woman Farmer. In America, we're 33% on paper. In
Mm,
actuality, it's probably much
way
higher
higher.
than that,
Way
that the
higher.
woman is running it. Internationally, I think it's like 46%. So half of the farms of the world are run by, and I say this straight faced, the smartest of humanity.
Mm.
because we understand innovation. We understand how to make it happen when there's no fertilizer to be bought or it's too
Mm,
expensive to buy. Those genes will show you
yeah.
what you already know to be successful. But again, we've got to make sure the women understand mental well-being,
Yeah.
that that's got to come first.
And it
Because
doesn't take big things, Connie. Like supporting your mental wellness does not have to be like a full-time job. It does once you get into burnout. So if you
yes,
got and I'm a survivor of burnout. So I will 100% say that if you get yourself into burnout, yes, getting out of that will be a full-time job and your real job will not happen for
oh yeah,
many, many months and possibly years the way that you want it. So don't get in burnout. Let's take care of
yes,
ourselves before we get there.
yes,
But with all of my clients, I ask them, what are you doing for self-care this week? What is one thing you can do for self-care this week? And it's part of their homework. Part of our business consulting homework is one thing that you can do, at least one thing that's just taking care of you. And sometimes it's an herbal tea for some people. Some people go and get a woman whose podcast is airing just this week. She always makes time for Botox. Like, hey, if you want the Botox and that makes you feel good, go get
thank
the
you. It is
Botox.
okay. We
Right?
listen and we don't judge.
That's it. My sister gets her hair done. You want to dye your hair, you want to go to the hairdresser, like whatever it is, it could just be a frou-frou cup of coffee on the back porch with nobody else around for 15
Yes,
minutes. Like if that's what it is, but every day do one small thing just because it makes you feel good. That is like I think it's a huge part of supporting
it
farmers'
is.
mental health.
I spoke to a group of farmers, and yes, I was the only Black woman in the room. And it's like, okay, then they're really going to have their eye on me because I'm the anomaly.
Yep.
And we talked about going back and finding your why.
Yeah.
And what does that look like now? Because the why, 9 times out of 10, has not changed, but
Mm-mm.
it's gotten lost in everything else that's coming. So I allowed them to sit and wait and just wait. And I said, take a couple of minutes and go back to when you first was responsible and the steward of the land and what it first felt like, the first sunrise you saw when it was yours. And always have that somewhere in the back of your mind, whether it's
Mm-mm.
when you get up in the morning before your feet hit the floor, you come up with 3 things you're grateful for, and one of them needs to be you.
Yes. Yep.
When you go to bed at night, as you're winding it down, do the same thing. I made it through the day. I am phenomenal.
Mm.
I still am the steward of this amazing piece of property.
Yep.
I'm thankful for the person next to me, my kids, my family, all of that. And just start making that a daily process and it shifts your day.
It really
And they're like,
does.
well, I said, I'm not going to add anything to your schedule because a farmer's schedule is already 48 hours in 24.
Mm-hmm.
But if
Yep.
you take a few minutes before your feet hit the floor to be grateful, you're already on the path to
Yep.
mental wellness.
Yeah. Yeah. There's somebody calls it find the moments that save you. And I've really held on to that phrase because I think how powerful that is because even while we're working, that work can be a moment that saves us or a moment that's dragging us down. And so,
Yeah.
like, when you're out in the field, I'll tell farmers all the time, I'm like, take a minute and just stop.
And
Just
look,
stop and be present. Like,
yes,
what do you hear? What do you see? What are you
yes,
feeling? Like, just be mindful in the truest sense of where you are and what's happening. And that alone, like, what does it feel like having the ground beneath your feet? What does the
Yes.
hoe feel like in your hand? Because I'll tell you, some of my most beautiful moments were spent hoeing weeds in the sunshine, getting
Ooh,
filthy. I did
ooh.
it in bare feet back in the day, but because there's something beautiful about the feel of that wooden hoe in your hand and the
Yes.
calluses that you've built so that it doesn't hurt anymore. It's just like it's an extension of your body. But if you don't take the moment to really sit in that, then it just becomes labor. And it
Yes.
can be labor or it can be life-giving. And
Yes.
and we get to choose. We get to help make that.
It
So,
definitely, the theme for my farm stay is curated nothingness.
oh, I love that.
And every Sunday, I make it a purpose to sit in one of my rocking chairs and watch the sun come up.
Yeah.
Or if it's cloudy, what is the sky saying?
Where the sun would be coming up.
Yes, yes, yes. And what that looks like, and just to be grateful again
Yeah.
and to do nothing. And one of my girlfriends came down and I said, okay, no cell phones. And she's like,
What?
I said, okay, 5 minutes of no cell phone. Sit it down on the table beside your rocker and just sit. And until people start allowing the space to hear from themselves or the powers to be, whatever they worship or honor,
Yeah.
it's just a lot of noise.
Mm.
So to sit out there with her, she had coffee. I had my glass of champagne because Sundays are for champagne.
You do you, Connie.
Yes. And just sitting there. And she went to say something, and I held a finger up and I said, we're not even going to talk because you need to just be. And I think the more people learn to do that, it's going to shift a lot. And
Yeah.
it's listening to your innermost desires, taking on your wellness, forgiving yourselves for the things that you thought you did wrong, and taking the moment to process them.
Yeah.
And instead of transitioning, you are becoming the best you in the now that you can be. And that is mental wellness at its greatest level.
Yeah, and I'm just really struck. I'm really struck by how difficult it is for so many people to have when you said 5 minutes without your cell phone. I was like, we really have to work hard to have 5 minutes without our cell phone. Like I'll tell. So my cell phone is here because I use it to, schedule things. So I keep it near to hand. But I have turned off like all of the notifications, so I don't
Yes,
hear most of them, or they just buzz and I truly ignore them. And I feel like that's such a gift because, people will get annoyed with me and they'll say, "Well, I texted you. Didn't you see my text?" I'm like, "No, I did not see your text because I am not reliant on this thing. I refuse to let this
yes,
thing dictate my life." There used to be a time where if you were not physically present at the phone when somebody called, you know
yes.
what? They called again. Or you decided it wasn't important enough. Or
That's
you
right.
caught up with them at the grocery store. Or like, and yes, the cell phones are wonderful. I love having them. I love being able to Google information right at the tip of my fingers. I love all the those things. And yet, how awful when we've got like when 5 minutes without it feels like a lifetime, and when
Yes,
5 minutes in silence with ourselves feels terrifying. Like that's like if we can shift that, if we can calm our systems and calm our minds enough to be comfortable with the fact that again, whatever these broken people are, because we're all broken in different ways
yes,
and we're all phenomenally beautiful.
yes,
And so, like, in our broken beauty, can we just sit there and be like, wow, it's broken and it's beautiful and I love it. And it's the best it can be right now, and it'll
right
be better
now.
tomorrow. Like,
Yes.
oh, ugh. The clock is never my friend, Connie. So it really never is. But this one has gone like super fast because you're hitting on all of my like your why, like what is your purpose? And you've got a purpose that only you have, and take care of yourself because if you don't have your mental health, you don't have anything. And oh, all of and farming looks different for everybody because we're all different. And
Yes.
so let's embrace that and see what kind of
Yes.
amazing differences we can make. All these topics are just so exciting to me. But we all have we have other things that I must let you do. So we're going to wrap up with my signature question, which is if you had one piece of advice that every farmer should know, what do you think that would be?
Remember that you are the reason that a lot of things exist.
Oh,
That if you are here, certain things get done. That if you choose not to be here, think about the effect. One suicide completion affects a minimum of 3,000 people in a week.
in a week.
Most people think singularly, but it's never singularly.
Mm-mm.
So just know you are the reason for a lot of things and not bad things.
Mm.
So be you, whatever that looks like, because you're important
Yeah. A
and
you
your
who's
place,
still becoming is a whole lot better
it
than a
is.
you who no longer is here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're not alone
Right. Right.
because farming is so isolating and it's singular and siloed, but you're not alone.
Mm-mm.
Even when you're by yourself, you're not alone.
Mm.
So stay. If you need help, we're here. But just,
And let's on that because this is not what I planned, but because we are ending with this, there are places you can go. 988 Lifeline is an
yes,
amazing resource and for veterans as well
amazing.
because
Yes,
I have used it for others. I have contacted them. They are amazing. They will follow. So if you are concerned about somebody, you can call them and they will follow up with them for you to do
yes,
like a quick assessment. They're amazing and reach out to the people in your neighborhood. There are special hotlines just for farmers, but that
yes.
988 will get you
You don't
to
even have to
whoever
think
you
about it.
need. Just 988, baby.
Yes. You don't have to remember it. Just dial it and say, if you can only get one word out, help.
Yes.
They understand. And we've got to start making it okay to not be okay and
Right.
to get the help. Because the most courage you can have is to say that one word, help.
Yeah.
And the dynamics change immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. And for farmers, like we are creating community here. Come join the community, be a part of us. Like,
Yes,
come and be welcomed and be supporting one another 100%.
yes.
Oh, Connie, thank you. I'm totally tearing up. My glasses are fogging.
I am too, but I've made this rule with myself. You don't do ugly cries when it's recorded.
Oh, sweetie, we do ugly cries here all the time because there are no ugly cries. All crying
Girl,
is beautiful. It's purging out all that garbage that we've held on
releasing,
to. Tears are actually
releasing.
like it is literally purifying for us to get garbage out. So
Yes,
go
yes,
ahead and
yes.
cry, but oh, thank you so much.
It has been my honor.
Thank you all of you out there for joining us, and we will see you next time on Food, Flowers, and Fun. Bye.
How do you multiply by fractions, Mom?
Farmers calling, our show is all done. Goodbye, farewell, so long, adieu. See you next week, same time, same place for food, flowers, and fun. Go in peace. Visit us at www.penlightfarmers.com.